And this one I can take it close, a little bit closer, a little bit closer, and welcome. We are here again, as usual, every Tuesday with me showing you how I do things, basically, and me learning things. And we are back as usual with my trusted nodes, and a few of them I have already implemented changes, and a few of them still needs to be completed, as well as one is something that we will be investigating today, I guess, because I have read somewhere that I've been not really I've been, more like there is a possibility to use multiple Butane files. Actually, let me check. Yeah, wrong title. I forgot to change the title of the stream. And I thought I had it ready, but it's okay. Let me retrieve it. Yeah, perfect. Save. So the title should have changed. If it didn't, I think if you refresh, you will see the new title. But anyways, as I was saying, the Butane configuration for Fedora CoreOS that is then transformed into an ignition file that is injected into Fedora CoreOS, in my case through Terraform currently. In the future maybe OpenTofu, but I need to take some time, maybe off stream, or maybe I will dedicate a stream for that entirely. It is possible to use multiple Butane files to create a single ignition file. I did have some doubts about this, because checking the help of the CLI utility for Butane, I noticed one option. I don't remember the option right now, we will check it later anyways. An option that will allow something like selecting a folder and all the files into that folder will be used to create the ignition file, or maybe that is not exactly how it works. Moreover, I configured some things for the virtual machine I have created, but I need to create, or better, I need to configure it way better, and I wanted to see how far I can go. I noticed that I can definitely configure the host name of the machine, and that is something that I need to do. I noticed that there are many operations that can be done, and I need to learn how to perform them. And maybe we will start also to install specific packages or remove packages that we don't need, because the first time I think I finally installed Fedora CoreOS, I checked the content of the etc folder, and I found, for example, WireGuard and Zincati were already there, and I'm not certain that I will need those two. Also, I'm not certain about specifically what kind of resources I need to give to the VM, it is definitely based on what I want to implement. And finally, I'm not certain if I will start right away with the configuration of a Fedora CoreOS VM for the usage of creating a Kubernetes cluster, not right away. First, I may work a little bit with either OpenWRT or some other tool to create basically a router inside a VM, and from there I will be able to control all the connectivity in my house and for my computers. So then I will be able to I will be able to manage in an easier way the cluster I want to make after that, because currently I have a single Proxmox host. Most likely in the near future I will have more than one, especially given the big milestone we reached during the previous stream, but also the speed at which we are improving what we can do with them. Currently I have a few machines with honestly Arch Linux in them, and the bare metal directly they manage the services I'm self-hosting in my house. So for example, I have Image, I have Jellyfin, I have let me think, Nextcloud, I have Homepage. I don't know if you know that one, is a dashboard for the rest. I'm also self-hosting an AI assistant. I'm self-hosting also Navidrom for the music I listen to, and a few other things. Moreover, I wanted to increase what to self-host. I have a list somewhere, not in the notes I use for the stream, that include, for example, Paperless NGX, Link Warden. I might try even something like maybe Passbolt, or what was it, Vault Warden I think is another one for the management of passwords, because currently I'm using KeePass and it does its job, to be clear, but it is on a single machine. If I need it on another machine, it starts to become cumbersome. For a while I had 4 versions of my password file, because my password database, because I used it in just 2 computers, but I didn't remember which version was which. So I first copied both versions in one computer, then I did it again in the other direction. A mess. So having a centralized utility in my own home is probably going to be way better as a solution. Also going forward, so those are all meant to be inside the Kubernetes cluster, and all I didn't mention is things I have less, at least currently, less knowledge about and less experience, I want to say. Not literally, I do have some experience, but less than starting a service and using it. And it is all things related to Grafana, Prometheus, and maybe other solutions. I will need to research a little bit. I have heard of OpenTelemetry, but literally only heard of it. So all of these things are going to be part of the future streams. And right now, I think that if it isn't OpenWRT, maybe open, I don't remember, OpenLens? No, definitely not OpenLens, it's another thing. I don't remember the other I've read, and I don't remember even if it is a similar tool. But anyways, it is likely to be the first service I host in this VM, in a VM in the Proxmox host, and I need to understand if I am able to also create the management of the Wi-Fi network from that virtual machine. I may need to tinker a little bit more with Terraform, with some pass-throughs, etc., but I don't have an issue with that. Anyways, coming back to the present, I'm not talking about the future. Let's get into it, I want to say. And let's start by moving here and checking out the notes as usual. And the usual graph that had some new additions because things are moving forward. So this got completed, this changed a little bit, and this was added, and we will likely add to it. In here there are the various nodes with some changes as usual, but nothing in depth. Okay, there were things that were completely missing because I didn't take notes that much. But the big thing is not these nodes, or better, this note. It is the pre-stream nodes. So let me do it like this so it's clearer to see. So you may remember that we had previously this kind of list that was okay, but a bit cumbersome and difficult to read, pretty much. That was the main thing I want to say. Now we have this table that is way easier to manage because I have way more information in it. So the management of the notes that I have taken, and some of them, as you can see, are managed, and it is way clearer which ones. Others are not. Most of them are not managed, but that's fair enough. It's not an issue for me. I will go through them. I will all the time. I will continue to improve this list, so enlarge this list and manage older things. Included in this list, we can find this status that is managed in a very simple way. At first I wanted to do a more complex thing, so having multiple statuses with different icons and different meanings, but it wasn't really needed. Okay, I just need to have a quick look at the table and see which one is managed and which is not, and then I can look into more details. So for example, the details of the management that basically tell me just what when it was managed and how, and then we have the reference of when it was managed and how, or we have no reference for certain things. Finally, given that we have this icon that is actually an emoji, I wanted to have a document about this emoji, and we do have indeed such a document that is fairly streamlined, nothing too in depth, but this is an emoji that is a Unicode character that was introduced first in 2010 when Unicode 6.0 was released, and then when emoji 1.0 was created, this white heavy checkmark was included in this emoji 1.0 in, if I already said it, I don't remember, in 2015, and since then it actually changed its name. It's just I think white checkmark without the heavy, or checkmark even, but yeah. Anyways, given I'm using an image that is not mine, I had to research a little bit what to use, and this was the let's say closest option to something that is licensed to be used for free. So technically speaking, not strictly speaking, again, not related to open source, but more related to the FCOS ideology and philosophy that is close to my heart. So free and open source software. This is free and it's close to it. Maybe in the future I will find something else. And for that reason, I had to change. So for the reason that I changed and I updated this page with this table, I had to update also the notation system, because it changed. It's not anymore this one, it is applied, but it is more this one. And again, the table is effective, it's definitely easier to read and to manage. If I were to go through all the notes, you could find, you would definitely find all the information related to the to details such as usage of formats and forms of writing that have very different ways in which they are used based on the day, basically, on the note taken in a different day, and that's okay currently. In the future, maybe I will have a version 3 and eventually also version 4, I expect, in which I canonize also how to manage that, but I don't want to be too strict with myself. It's my brain, how it works, these notes, so nothing too in-depth. Finally, there is another detail in this note that is this. Okay, one thing I noticed that I missed, but I will eventually manage later on. That is, there is no conclusion, but it's okay currently. The video timestamps. I took the time, honestly, I always take the time to review my streams, and this time I also I paused the video multiple times to be able to take the timestamps and save them so that I can eventually include them in the video description. But it is something that will happen. It is not something that is going to happen today or tomorrow, for the sole reason that I need to complete the template for the description of the videos, at least of the live streams. In the future, maybe I will, most likely I will produce videos offline and upload them to YouTube, differently from now, which means that I will have a dedicated format maybe for those videos that is slightly different from the one from the live streams. At least I expect that. I need to study a little bit more about that topic, because it's all a new world to me. At least YouTube is creating on YouTube. I've been watching videos on YouTube for ages. And that's not it, actually. There is another detail. So the detail is let me see. Perfect. The next detail is that I will have my terminal in here, but to manage the documents, I will try to use Z. So this is Z. Maybe I can zoom a little bit. I don't remember how to zoom. Give me a second. Terminal panel, unknown, one-to-one. Nope. In here, git panel, outline panel, content panel, project search. Ooh. Buffer search, assistant, definitely not. Telling me there is no zoom. There it is. Okay. Okay, so let me see. If I do it like this and if I do it like this, we are talking about pretty much the same kind of size, so it should be alright. And this should make it a little bit easier for me to manage files. It should be. It's not certain. I'm still learning to use that as well. I'm finding that it's really effective. So in here you can find also all the Terraform stuff. So as you can see, it's easy to navigate through everything. And there are a lot of perks that I need to learn, but slowly. And technically I also have a terminal in here, but I will not be using it because I need to do a little bit more I need to learn a little bit better how to use that. And this stream and streaming in general, but I use it also for work, so it will take very little time, I want to say. I already logged in to Proxmox and we can start working on the next steps for the configuration of Fedora CoreOS. So, this is not something I care currently. In the future, maybe I will look it up, but I will also need to understand how to configure the network in a different way, which is okay, but also something I need to actually manage. So it will take some time. Enabling Wi-Fi, I don't need it currently. Kernel tuning. Not really. Maybe this allows to configure the kernel network configuration. Maybe, I'm not sure. Running containers, that's not something I need to do right now. User and groups, again, not something I need to do right now. Setting a hostname, instead it is something I need to do right now. And it seems that it will be managed through writing to the etc hostname file. So in here I will give it a different path with etc. Yeah, I need to stop to use the tab when I write a folder. Hostname, mod 0600, nope, 0644, overwrite true contents inline, and here I will write my hostname, and let's go with so this line is not needed, I discovered, but at the same time I need a hostname, and I could use FCOS.luco.li, but given the objective for the first VM I create, I think I will name it differently. So maybe router dot luco dot li. And maybe in the future I will have some machines with funny names, because I do like that. I shared with a few friends in a live stream of a guy I know that for work, among the other things I manage a Moodle instance, and this Moodle instance is named Mad Eye Moody, or maybe Mad Eye Moodle. Yeah, Mad Eye Moodle. Just because as I was writing the configuration, I was there and it was Moodle. Oh, Mad Eye Moody. Oh, yeah. And I merged them just for fun. So expect things like that from me. Finally, let me see. Well, I was talking about the possibility to use multiple Butane files. So let me duplicate this. And I don't know, example, butane create machine configs to configure FCOS. Red Hat CoreOS, what? Multiple butane files. Producer navigation config, using butane, getting butane, butane config, etc. Writing the butane config, multiple choice. Fedora CI master, Fedora CoreOS master. Maybe I can just check using butane. Yes, I did check this already. So let me show you what I saw that made me think things. And then I did a quick research, but I wrote it on Google. So there it is. Allow embedding local files from this directory. So I can go -d and write the name of the directory on top of everything that I've been doing. And instead of using a single butane file, it will use all the butane files in that directory. So let's try this. And to try this, I need to, let me think, I need to test it in an easy way, which means, let's move this to a different file, because this will be always present. Maybe let's try. So this new file and ssh.bu, and in here we got this and Ctrl S. If I move here, I cannot delete everything, but I can delete, I think, this, because the variant and the version, I think they need to be there. Otherwise, the butane CLI will will not understand that this is a butane file, I expect. And this also means that I don't necessarily need to run this butane command inside the specific folder, because I can tell it to use a specific folder. So that means that I go butane, there it is, -pretty, strict, and I mixed it. Yeah, I remember why. Output. I don't like to mix short and long versions of flags in a single command. It's probably silly, but it looks wrong. It isn't wrong, but it looks annoying. It's my brain that doesn't like it, so it's okay. So files there, and we go home. You're telling me that I need to write everything? or that I cannot use full path. No, jeez. Locally and documents and FCOS and tests. Okay, and this instead of first test out, it's going to be split test.ign, but in the correct folder. That is this, to be honest. So I will not write that again, and then I will actually move to that folder, honestly, but let's see what happens. I don't know. Wrong folder, maybe? Oh, that's the issue. I wrote my fucking username wrong. I was certain to have put a capital L. Still not great, but let's move back. So documents, FCOS, tests, and it's not there. Okay. So in here there is files minus dir, unless it cannot be used with either of these. Let's do this. Okay. Maybe it's the output that is the problem. So nope. Oop. Maybe it's just slow and I'm too fast. Yeah, it could be slow, but it could also not be working, given it's taking so much time. Is there... no, I don't see a verbose option. Input file. Allow embedding local files from this directory. I need to write the actual files. Because it needs an input file. So maybe I need to write... what was it? Oh yes, I need to rename this first test, to be honest. And we rename it into router.bu. Okay, so we go into here, we go sh.bu and router.pu. Okay, there is an error, and it's not really written. Maybe I can just do it without this option. Nope. Speed test now exists, but if I go router.view, it exists, but again, different. Using butane with different no, creating ignition file from multiple butane files. And the AI can go whatever, producing an ignition config, merging butane configs, examples. User group, yeah. I can even give it the actual. That can be interesting. Storage and files. Directory tree. File system partition, swap areas, looks encrypted storage, all things that I will look into. Systemd units. Nice, grab password, merging ignition config. Butane supports merging ignition configuration directly into butane configs using different methods. Okay. This example embeds an ignition config directly into the butane config. Okay. This example merges an ignition from a local file. The file directory can be specified using the -d --, files there in here, but it's okay. Option we're running butane, config merge local ignition.tgn. This example fetches and merges an ignition config from a remote URL. Note that if butane encounters an ignition version it does not know about, usually because it is from a new release, it will show a warning and will continue processing. This lets you embed new ignition version in butane configs without blocking on the validation by butane. So it's not that I use more butane files, it's more that I merge an already created ignition file with the ignition file I am creating right now. So basically I can have multiple ignition files. Clear. And that ignition file, and I can have multiple butane files. then each file should be complete, so with variant and version and all the needs for that specific configuration. So it's kind of atomic for that feature, specific feature. Done that, you process that Butane file with the Butane CLI to create a dedicated ignition file for that configuration. So for example, the ssh.butane will be turned into an ssh.ign. Then inside the router.butane, in my case, so going back to Z to see it, the SSH, I manage the SSH key in the router.butane, that is the actual Butane file that defines the rest of the virtual machine. As a Butane file, I write that it needs to inject the specific configuration for that ignition file already created inside this Butane file when it's created, when it's managed with the Butane CLI to create the final ignition file. So we'll have multiple ignition files, each one for the single feature, and then a final one that has everything, as far as I understood. But let me see. So this is an open issue. Okay, nice. Open, but it was opened in 2020. Okay, so it's convenient for users to write multiple Butane fragments and then merge them together into one config. That is what I wanted to do. This is awkward right now. Users must separately transpile each fragment and then use ignitions merge. Yeah, so merge directive to merge them at runtime, or they can transpile each Butane fragment and use a wrapper script to build a top-level Butane config that inlines the ignition fragments using merge directives. Provide a mechanism to include Butane fragments into another Butane config and produce a unified ignition config as output. This might be done by extending merge to allow referencing local Butane configs, transpiling each piece, and then performing the ignition config merge at transpile time. Okay. I needed to extend the telephone provider CT with the similar ability to add FCC version 1.1.0, support and retain fragment merging in this issue. Call it the snippets there. It leaves much to be desired, i.e. it's not pretty. Okay. I will not read through everything. I agree with the configuration template. Okay, so that's a wall of text. So Yeah, I like that. General agree. Okay, so I had some free to play with open source tools and got stuck on this issue. Read through much of the discussion from a couple of years ago. I made a package that works for me, but now it serves a number of issues that will probably be useful to think about long term. Anyways, this seems to be open, and I don't know the enchantment label, what meaning it has in this project. And inject with a J. No, producing ignition. Yeah, I've read through this. But so merge ignition. Where is it? I truly like the idea of finding documentation apart of the examples in the butane specification, because I'm not even sure for which version it is, this specification. I mean, we have 110 to 160. Merging, I think, will count as 160. Let me actually go in here. Nope. Configuration specifications. 160. Merge. List of objects. A list of the configs to be merged to the current config. Okay, nice. Wait a minute. I can use source. The URL of the config. Nope. Inline the content of the config. Mutually exclusive with source and local. Okay. Local. A local path to the contents of the config, relative to the directory specified by the file.dir command line argument. This is important. Mutually exclusive with the source and inline. Okay. Compression. Nothing that I care. HTTP headers, verification, and that's it. Because replace is on the same level as merge. Okay, so the one I want to do, it turns out, is merge. And the example was saying ignition, and here, ignition, merge, no, config, merge, and in here we go local, and we go with ssh.egn. If I need egn, if I need to add more, I guess I will continue to add like in files, let's say. Okay, so now from the CLI, what do we do? We do the following. We have this stuff. We can use the butane pretty strict ssh.bu output ssh.ign. Okay. Now, done that, we can move to, so we add the minus files there. I don't know if it supports this, but we try. And we use router with the output split.ign. Okay. And if we less split.ign, we find this part. Storage, with the files related to these things. I'm not sure about this, but given that this works, it will likely work as well. And now we need to Terraform. Terraform. Yes, I still need to fix the whole thing. CoreOS VM, which means that we don't need to come here. We need to get used to working here. So Terraform, and we have CoreOS VM. And we need to, what do we need to do in here? We definitely need to change this to, yes, install extension, I don't mind. That's one of the nice things of Z. It has extensions for a bunch of things, which make things easier. Okay, so I need that. Yeah, I still need to provide a test for this. So changing this to a different thing, and or maybe even removing it. It may work. These are working, these are correct. 100 gigabytes, I think I can use just 50. 2 cores, 4 gigabytes of RAM, and we should be CoreOS router. Let's change the name to CoreOS router. CoreOS router. And I think we are good. Like this. Oh, nice. I got the extension working already, basically. it moved the things by itself. Let's see if it works. What can I say? So we are in here and we go Terraform plan minus out FCOS cloud. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I don't care. And then we go Terraform apply FCOS cloud. But first we move here and we see if things work in the correct way. Yeah, I think I need to do this as usual. Where we have one watcher. Hello, Trantor Vega. I was so excited to have a watcher that I washed my face with the water, but it's okay. And it seems that everything is working correctly, but let's try to connect to this VM. So sh no core at 22 168 100. Yes, as usual. I will look up one way to kind of wait. Let's read it. Someone could be eavesdropping. Sounds good. On you right now. It is also possible that house key has been changed. The fingerprint for the ED 25519 key sent by the remote host is whatever. Please contact your system administrator and the correct host key to get rid of this message. Change you have requested. There it is. Host key has changed and you have requested strict checking. Host key verification failed. So, given this VM is created by me, I want to go around the host key strict checking. So let me copy this, and actually I have yet to start creating notes today, and it's the right moment to do this. So day 7, and we're talking about FCOS, no, Fedora CoreOS FCOS, and we say, I think more Butane configurations, something like that. Butane configurations. Maybe I can actually read it to be sure. Yep, correct. So, first of all, multiple Butane files. As it turns out, the support for multiple Butane files is not present currently. There is an open issue about it, and let's retrieve the issue so we can kind of check it. Since I like using this feature, let's use it. And again, and again, and again. Perfect. And that's it. Then we have... oh, wait. I didn't finish. There is the possibility to inject in a butane. Let's be consistent. File another ignition file .ign already so they use the word transpiled. Let's use it. Transpiled like the butane CLI. Good enough for the time being. Butane merge with ignition. Was it correct? We need to complete the test, so let's go in here and let's vim this file, and then let's be ruthless. Yeah. Okay. And it works, or better, it worked as I used it. So, butane merging ignition. The process is a bit cumbersome, as one, create all the butane files, the butane .bu files, .bu files. Let's use this word, transpile each file into an .ign file. Create a new butane .bu file that has the syntax written like that. I think with the epsilon syntax, and indeed typo. The syntax to merge all the .ign files into it, and use the appropriate command to appropriate butane. I don't like it like that, but I will eventually fix it. Butane command to transpile this last one. Example of proper butane command. That is in here. There it is. Yeah, I don't mind. I didn't want to do that. Yes, there it is, and there it is. Other than this, there is another detail that was in the specification that is here. Let's do this. On top of this, there is this restriction. Okay, and there is this restriction that has a source, and the source is down here. The Fedora CoreOS Butane specification version 1.6.0. That is the one we are using. So okay, it's not too much of an issue using it like this, but as was written in this well-written GitHub issue, it would be much easier and much more streamlined if we could use multiple butane files directly instead of having to, as the word was used, transpile them all and then finally transpile even the butane merger. Now, currently I don't have that kind of configuration myself right now. In the future I actually may. But yet again, it means that instead of having just the ssh.bu, I have also the ssh.ign with the SSH configuration, and I can call it properly. To be honest, I don't, let me see, there is a butane, there is no manual entry for butane, and I wish there was at this point, because this, let me show you, butane -- help, this option does not make me think that I can do what I just described, but it makes me think that I can create multiple butane files and provide a simple folder as input, or maybe, as I tried already, provide the folder and the list of files I want to merge into an ignition file, all in the command, but neither of them worked. And describe it better, I want to say. But anyways, let me see if... Okay, broadcast message from Zincati. Sounds good. I need to upgrade the Fedora CoreOS version. Sounds great, but look at this. I think I saw it. Where is it? Oh Jesus! OS update. There it is. Update stream, out updates, bootloader updates. We will get there. We will get there. The one thing I need. Oh yeah, I already checked basically, because if I go host name, that is not the host name I gave it. That is the name of the VM. But let me check. Cat etc host name. Okay. So it seems that I have either messed up the configuration or this overwritten. This, it cannot be that this overrides the configuration managed by the ignition file of Fedora CoreOS, because we saw already that this is not the case, to be clear. It is not the case because with the networking configuration we saw that this is kind of ignored, and instead let me check also this df-h 50 gigabytes in etc. Interesting. But anyways, this was injected, otherwise it wouldn't work. This was managed. It doesn't seem that this was managed. Maybe there is needed to call files multiple times. Examples. No. Files, storage, looks, file system, files, minus path, multiple files, maybe, files. Okay, let me start by reading storage and files. This example creates a file at opt file with the contents hello world, permission 0644, so readable and writable by the owner and only readable by everyone else. And the file is owned by user ID 500 and group ID 501. Sounds awesome. But at the same time, what about multiple files management? I can inject a file. Oh, look at this. This example creates a file at, oh yeah, the content of the file, whose content is read from. Okay, this can be useful for the networking, for example, because contents local and everything here is instead written in a file. Interesting. I may play with that. Directory trees. Consider a directory tree at home/conf/tree on the system running Butane. file, overridden file, directory slash file, directory slash symlink that points to file. Okay. This example copies the directory tree to etc files on the target system. I don't care. File systems and partitions, that's great. How do we manage multiple files? Is there an hierarchy? Is there some kind of other detail? Let me see the specification again. File. So, not file systems, but it is storage, so files. Okay, list of objects. The list of files to be written. Every file, directory, and link must have a unique path. It's totally okay by me. Files, path, and all the other configuration. Also, if it went through as correct, why doesn't it work? So, contents in line, mutually exclusive with source and local. Sounds good. Oh. Sounds good, sounds good, sounds good. FCOS name. So, look at this. I can do like this, and let's try to do this. It looks correct. Let me give it some room, and let's save it, and let's run again that command. Yes, let's do this. Butane, 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 fast there, this router dot butane, output split dot htn. Oh, wait. Wait, I know why things didn't work exactly as I wanted. Because I'm an idiot. So I created the split.tgn. Great. I recreated the virtual machine, but I forgot in the middle to move the split.ign file from this machine to the Proxmox host. So that is why it's not working. So not split, but yeah, it is split instead. I want it to be router.ign, sorry. Router.ign. Router.ign is there, and let's remove some stuff that is useless. So split.ign and split test.tgn are useless. Perfect. And we go to scp router.ign to core at 192, 168, 100 var CoreOS snippets and I don't remember the name. Look, it's not needed. What? What? Oh, 100. Wrong machine. What? What? Recipe. Oh, I used the root. Strange, but it's okay. Root. Yeah, because it's... Jesus. Come on, Luca. You can do this. Root at 192, 168, 140. And less minus the of var CoreOS snippets. There it is, and we need to first modify that stuff and then modify these. So we go in here, and instead of this we go router, and we go in here, and we go like this, and we go apply. So in here I expect destruction and recreation, even though I didn't change that specific string, and that's great. Makes it easier for me. Everything is going properly in the right direction. There it is. And now we can SSH into that machine from here. Core at 92, 68, 100. Yes. Let's search for this. Yeah, wait, I need to copy this issue and get rid of it because I'm getting annoyed by it. What? What's going on? It seemed to have finished, but it didn't. I don't know. But anyways, this is part of an error, and let me write it all. Actually, because it's important to fix it, and I'm annoyed, extremely annoyed by this. So this does have a simple solution. This issue is annoying. Let's look into it. So man SSH maybe? an SSH, and in here we go first this, no, first this, and then strict, not restriction. So, okay, this is the per user configuration file. The file format and a configuration option are described in SSH config. Because of the potential for abuse, this file must have strict permissions, read and write. Okay, that's not what I'm looking for. And you're telling me there is nothing. What is this restriction? Enable X11 forwarding? Nope. So maybe SSH config as it was written in here. So man file SSH config. Again like this, and declaration match. Nope. Nope. Okay, there's a lot of stuff. It's better that I search. Maybe better. Let's see. Host key has changed. Okay, something about changed host key maybe helps. Okay. Host. Not hoist. Host. Hoot. Jeebus. Host. Nope. Changed. Let's go. Changed. There we go. Strict host key checking. This flag is set to yes. SSH will never automatically add host keys to the SSH non-hosts file and refuse to connect to hosts whose host key has changed. This provides maximum protection. This flag is set to accept new, then SSH will automatically add new host keys for the user to the user's non-host file, but it will not permit connection to host with changed host key. Set no or off, SSH will automatically add new host keys to the user non-host file and allow connection to host with changed host keys to proceed subject to some restrictions. This flag is set to ask, the default. The new host key will be added to the user non-host file to do as a verification. The key of non-host will be verified automatically in all cases. Okay, so I need to put it at no in the command. So now I need to understand how to add this to the command. So, first of all, copy. Quoting the man page for the SSH config. Man 5 SSH underscore config. Okay. Oh, what? Nope. Why? Nope. I don't like it. Thank you. Now I like it a little bit more. Now I don't like it. Why? Before it was There it is. Let's leave it like this. So what happens is that this is the one to be used now with no or off. Okay. And to use it, I need to go back to man SSH, I think. Man SSH. And understand how to put the option enable forwarding, disable forwarding, blind interface, blind address, bind, see request compression, the bind address port, log file, escape charters, fconfig file, -f, request SSH to go to background just before command execution. G goes SSH to print its configuration. As remote host to connect. Identify file, J destination, K enable GSS API based. Then disable MSR bind, yes, tunnels. M place the SSH client into master. Max spec. Do not execute a remote command. Redirect standard input from dev-nav. Option, there it is. And what we can do just to be certain, no, not like this, but like this. There is, and I'm happy. So what I need to do in here is go back because I don't remember the option. Damn it. And the option is -o option. Copy. To use this option directly in a command. Put in the SSH man page. SSH. And in here we go like this. Okay. And that means that the command will be sh -o strict out key checking equal no, and we connect. And now if we go hostname router.rook.rook.li, yeah, and we cut etc host name, and there we go. That was configured as well. Okay, what do we do next? So this I don't need it anymore, and this I would need it. This is the same, so I don't need it. Hostname configuration, proxy, internet access, setting, keyboard layout. I don't think there is an issue in this case, because I connect to the machine. I don't work directly from that machine, so I use my own layout, it seems. Adding OS extensions, what is this? Fedora CoreOS keeps the base image as simple and small as possible for security and maintainability reasons. That is why you should, in general, prefer the usage of Podman containers over layering software. However, in some cases, it is necessary to add the software on the base OS itself. For example, drivers or VPN software are potential candidates because they are harder to containerize and may be brought in as extensions to the OS. Interesting? Layering Vim. I don't think I need it because all the configuration files will be injected. Maybe OpenWRT will need its own configuration files there, and I may need to use Vim, but we will see eventually. But this is really important. So let's keep this open and let's close this. Setting host name done. I think I can close this and this, just so that I have a little bit more breath. Installing Docker CE, how to customize a nickname, configuring swap on ZRAM. Oh yes, I need to configure the storage. I need to configure the storage because I have 50 gigabytes in etc. And root had 4.8 megabyte and all used. I don't know, maybe I am good like this for the time being, not sure. So Fedora CoreOS ships with a simple default storage layout. The root partition is the last one and expands to take the full size of the disk. Apart from the boot partition, all data is stored on the root partition. See the disk layout section for more details. Below we provide example of various ways you can customize this, if I need it customized. Referencing block devices from Ignition. Maybe it's better if I do something about this. A simple one, and I'm pretty tired, but it's okay. It's okay. System I'd like. Ask Butane to generate a mount unit for us so that this file system gets mounted in the rear root. So given that this is mounted at root and this is mounted on etc, I find it kind of odd, to be honest. Then we have boot, run, tmp, and so on and so forth. You can of course mount only a subset of var into separate partition. That's common, and I will look into what I need in the future for Kubernetes. Alternatively, you can also mount storage from separate disks. For example, we mount varlog from a partition on dev vdb. Yes, that can be an idea. Reconfiguring the root file system. Do I need it? That is a question. Even ride. Again, do I need it? Defining a file system. Encrypted storage looks. This might be interesting. Here is an example to configure a Lux device at varlib data. The root file system can also be moved to Lux. In that case, the Lux device must be pinned by Clevis. There are two primary pin types available, TPM2 and Tang, or a combination of those used in Shamir secret sharing. Caution, TPM2 pinning just pinned encryption to the physical machine in use. Make sure to understand its threat model before choosing between TPM2 and Tang pinning. For more information, see this section of the Clevis TPM2 pin documentation. You must have at least 4 GB of RAM for root reprovisioning to work. Okay, this is good because I do have 4 GB bytes. Anyways, sizing the root partition, adding swap, adding network storage, adding advanced examples. Disk layout, I just have the disks, so I don't have that many disks. It's just the default configuration for boot and the rest in etc. So if I check back into the Terraform file, I will find that this SCSI 0 is mounted to the etc file. Mounted on etc. And instead the BIOS, that is somewhere, I don't see it. Where is it? I missed it. No, where is it? I didn't configure it because by default it's cBIOS, and since it's a default I didn't write it. This is the only default I wrote, if I remember correctly, but anyways, that one by default goes there. And maybe it's this, to be honest, but it's okay. Mounted file systems. Yeah, I need to investigate more about file systems, because I don't want to say that I'm completely ignorant, but I could know more for sure. Anyways, configure storage is not something I will work on right now. Not counting, configuring time zones. Oh, time zone. This can be interesting. Let me check time zone of the VM by default. Wow. So UTC. Definitely I need to configure the time zone because I don't wanna have my machine in UTC and not being in UTC. I don't wanna calculate things for my own infrastructure in my own house. To be honest, when I manage the configuration infrastructures from customers, that's okay. They decide the time zone they use, but as long as all the virtual machines have the same time zone, I'm cool. I say this because I found things in the past. Let's not get into it. I don't want to rant more than I should. So anyways, by default, Fedora CoreOS machines keep time in coordinated universal time UTC zone and synchronize their clocks with the network time protocol NTP. This page contains information about customizing the time zone. Yes. And this is the part that I needed. But this is a storage links. Ooh. Why? Setting the time zone via ignition. If you are aware of the downsides to setting a system time zone that is different from the default UTC time zone, you can set a different system time zone by setting the local time zone configuration file etc local time to be an absolute or relative symlink to a TZ file under entry under user share zone info. It is recommended that you set the same time zone across all your machines in the cluster. Thank you. I completely agree. Okay, so this is a link internal. Yeah. So it means that I can go into -l user share zone info Europe, and I should find ROM. Perfect. So that is why it is a link, because I'm not writing directly to the file. I'm linking basically this file, or in my case this file, to this. So it's a symlink. -l of etc local time. I don't have it because by default that is not needed. That's fair enough. Let's add that into a dedicated butane and ignition file. So Z, and we go in here, we go new file, timezone.pu. Then maybe in the future, instead of having SSH time zone and whatever, I will create a default maybe, or a general config that will include all the configurations that are exactly the same in all the VMs I create. At the same time, when that is created, then that is merged into the butane file. But anyways, variant 1.6.0. After this I will actually check if we have an extension for butane. Oh, wrong. FCOS. Perfect. So storage links path etc local time and target. It is quicker to take it from here. Wait a minute. Why there is the two dots? That's interesting. Instead of this is odd. I don't understand the two dots at the beginning of the target. Let me check in here somewhere. Control F links. Part of the storage. Yes, links. The list of links to be created. Every file, directory, and link must have a unique path. Okay. Target. The target path of the link. Yeah. There is no dots. So I don't understand the dots. The two dots at the beginning. And looks is the same level of link. Add. A symbolic link is created if this is false, hard one if this is true, and by default, thank you for the default. Okay, user group and overwrite target. I don't understand why target. Actually, let me go to examples once again. Target. I don't have it in the examples. But anyways. This is okay because it has been fun. Let's use it as the configuration says. So Ctrl S to save it, and then we go in here. Nope. We go right back because we need to change this as well to add another local time zone dot egn Ctrl S. Now we go back in here and we do what's needed. Butane, not this butane. Doesn't change anything. So timezone.bu with timezone .egn, and then we go in here, router.bu and router.egn. Perfect. Then scp router.egn, and then since I need to recreate it, but I didn't change it currently. I didn't change anything. Let's change that string with 2, and let's put change me, so maybe I read it way better. And we go like this, and we go like this. Seems to be working. As intended. Yeah, it takes a while. Now it will create the VM, it will create the tag, it will do all the steps. There it is. Finish the water as well, but it's okay. It seems to be correct. And thank you. Thank you. And if I go date, it is correct. Yeah, it's correct. Ideal. Ideal. So SSH separated. That is the next step for sure. Let me copy this in the notes, because this is definitely the next step that I will not manage today, but I need to take a note, otherwise I will forget. Need to work on the upgrade of the OS. I don't want to download a new image, to be honest. It should be possible. I say it should be possible, but if it's not possible, I will get quite angry. So it should be possible to configure the system through streams, update stream, stable testing next, switching to a different stream, and nope. I don't care about this. I want to update. Auto updates could be there it is. Look at this. Zincati config rollout wariness toml identity rollout wariness 0.001. Checks to remote service to see the update are available. Okay. Master boot. Okay. Okay, so this would mean that a single VM with my OpenWRT would risk to kill my internet connection. So maybe I will need to have two VMs, two small VMs dedicated only to that are updated kind of like, how to say, one first, finish that, only then the other. Zincati seems to be something that helps me with these kinds of operations, Moreover, I need to understand the resources needed by OpenWRT. Let me move back to here because currently I will not be doing anything more. We are almost done. So today we discovered and we configured new things. So we discovered the possibility to use multiple files, not multiple butane files, but multiple EGN files that are IGN files that are then merged inside a butane file, and the transpilation process. We learned this word transpilation that I will need to look up and see if it's actually a word. I've never heard it before. Moreover, we configured the host name of the VM, we configured the time zone of the VM, we performed a few tests, everything is working correctly and I want to say flawlessly, in the good direction. With the Zincati, it seems I will be able to configure the upgrade of the VM itself, and it is something that I will test during the next stream. I also need to install NetBird into this VM because personally I'm using NetBird. I really like the project. Eventually I will self-host a network node, but that is something that I cannot do at home. I will need to do it on a VM somewhere online, a single VM, small, that will not cost that much, but at the same time it has a cost. It's an investment in the future that I will make in the future. Finally, I need to configure NetBird, as I said, and that I want to completely install it and configure it using my trusted ignition files. So both installation and configuration needs to be managed through the ignition file. Finally, what else? We managed this kind of annoying error because every single time going into the file to change it, I don't care. I mean, it's my VM. I know why it changed. I destroyed the VM and recreated it. Come on. I'm also being fairly secure because I'm not creating a config file for SSH that includes that option with no, but I use it in the command for that VM. So it will be fair enough to use that SSH config option. What else? Next Nespresso, I guess. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Again, this was a really nice stream. Once again, thank you for having an audience. So whoever is watching, thank you. And for today, that will be all. Bye.